of who you are and what it is that you desire in us. For we must understand your words. We must comprehend and understand what is its abomination to you. What is it? What does that mean? What does that represent to you so that we can understand fully? So that we can avoid those things that will cause us problems with you. Hallelujah, Father. We thank you this morning for your mighty work. We ask you just continue to show us, to reveal us the depths of these things which matter so much to you. Hallelujah. All right. Many of us have heard and read about an abomination. Most of us read that and we just read on over it. We have an idea of what it could mean. But this morning we're going to go into the depths of it a little bit more, because this is something that's vile, something that's reprehensible to Yahuah, and we got to understand these things. The definition from Webster's dictionary defines an abomination as that which is exceptionally loathsome, hateful, sinful, wicked, or vile. A person who is loathsome or disgusting. An action that is vicious or vile. An action that arouses disgust and abhorrence. There's 3 Hebrew words that connote an abomination. And we need to understand these words to get a deeper revelation of what is it that is being spoken of here. So the first word that we're going to look at is to'abah, shekaz, and pigol. To'abah is the most important of this group. To'abah in the feminine is an active participle of the H8581. Properly, it's something disgusting morally, i.e. as a noun, it's abhorrence, especially idolatry, or concretely as an idol. Abominable, it's a custom or a thing. An abomination, to'abah. It appears in scriptures 116 times as a noun and 23 times as a verb, and has a wide variety of applications, ranging from food prohibitions, which we find in Deuteronomy 14:3, idolatrous practices in Deuteronomy 12:31, as well as 13:15, and magic, which is found in Deuteronomy 18, verse 12, to sexual offenses in Leviticus 18:22, and ethical wrongs, which we find in Deuteronomy 25, verses 14 through 16, as well as Proverbs 6, verses 16 through 19. Common to all these usages is the notation or irregularity that which offends the accepted order, ritual, or moral. The meaning of the Hebrew word to'abah is often translated as abomination or detestable in English. It can refer to the breaking of either a moral or a ritual law. When to'abah refers to the breaking of a ritual law, it might be better translated as ritually improper or involves foreign religious cult practices. Some of the to'abah passages are considered without significance to believers today. Many activities which were to'abah transgressions to the ancient Israelites simply do not apply to modern cultures today. That doesn't mean they still don't have the same effects or the same principles behind them, just because they are recognized today. See, the English term used to translate the scriptural Hebrew terms shikut or shikat, which are derived from shikat, is abomination, pigal to heda. Shikat, which is three distinct Hebrew words, are rendered in the English Bible by abomination or abominable things, referring, with an exception in Genesis 43, verse 32 and 46, 34, to things or practices adherent to Yahuah and opposed to the ritual or moral requirements of his religion or his beliefs, if you will. It would be well if the words could be distinguished in translation, as they denote different degrees of adherence or loathsomeness. See, the word most used for this idea by the Hebrews and indicating the highest degree of abomination is tabah, meaning primarily that which offends the religious senses of a people. When it is said, for example, the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for this is an abomination unto the Egyptians, this is the word used, the significance being that the Hebrews were repugnant to the Egyptians as foreigners, as of the inferior caste, and especially as shepherds, according to Genesis 46:34. The feelings of the Egyptians for the Greeks was likewise one of repugnance. Herodotus says that the Egyptians would not kiss a Greek on the mouth, or use his dish, or taste meat cut with the knife of a Greek. Among the objects described in the Tanakh or the Old Testament as abominations, in this sense, are heathen Elohim and everything connected with the worship of such Elohim, or gods, if you will. So when Pharaoh, remonstrating against the departure of the children of Israel, exhorted them to offer sacrifices to their Elohim in Egypt, Moshe said, "Shall we sacrifice the abominations of the Egyptians?" i.e. the animals worshipped by them were taboo, tobah, to the Israelites before their eyes, and will they not stone us? Exodus 8, verse 26. It is to be noted that not only the heathen idols itself, but anything offered to or associated with the idol, all the paraphernalia of the forbidden cult, was called an abomination, for it is an abomination to Yahuah your Elohim, according to Deuteronomy 7, verse 25 and 26. The writer here adds, in terms quite significant of the point of view and the spirit of the whole Torah, neither shall you bring an abomination into your house, and thus, because a thing set apart, cherum, or tabooed, like unto it, you shall utterly detest it, utterly abhor it, for it is a thing set apart, or tabooed. To ebah is even used in a synonymous with an idol or heathen deity, as in Isaiah 44, verses 19, Deuteronomy 32:16, 2 Kings 23:13, and Exodus 8:22. Everything related to magic or divination is likewise an abomination, tobah, as are sexual transgressions, according to Deuteronomy 22, verse 5, 23:18, and 24:4. Especially incest and other unnatural offenses like homosexuality, which is sexual relations between a man and another man, or a woman and another woman. Sodomy, any contact between the genitals and the anus or other. Bestiality, sexual relations between a human and an animal. Pedophilia, recurrent sexual urges, fantasies, or acts towards children. Veyeurism, a psychosexual disorder in which a person derives sexual pleasure and gratification from looking at the naked bodies and genital organs, or observing the sexual acts of others, which we see as pornography today. The voyeur is usually hidden from view of others. Do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of Yahuah? Do not be deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor homosexuals, nor sodomites will inherit the kingdom of Yahuah. 1 Corinthians 6, verse 9 and 10. It is to be noted, however, that the word takes on, in the later uses, a higher ethical and spiritual meaning, as were divers measures. A great and a small are forbidden. Deuteronomy 25, verses 14, 16. And in Proverbs, where lying lips, verses 12, 22. The proud in heart, verses 16, 5. The way of the wicked, 15, verse 9. Evil devices, 15, verse 26. And the justifying the wicked. And he that condemns the righteous, 17, verse 15. Are said to be an abomination in Yahuah's sight. At last, prophet and sages are found to unite in declaring that any sacrifice, however free from physical blemish, is offered without purity of motive, is an abomination. Bringing no more of a oblation of falsehood and incense of abomination, it is to me, according to Isaiah 1:13 and Jeremiah 7:10. The sacrifice of the wicked and the prayer of him that turns away his ear from hearing the Torah are especially an abomination, according to Proverbs 15, verse 8, as well as 21, verse 27, and 28, verse 9. Another word rendered abomination in the scripture is shiketz. It's a detestation, detestable things, or shiketz. It's a detested thing, an abominable idols, abomination. Abominations, detestable idols, detestable detestable things, or filth. It expresses generally a somewhat less degree of horror or religious aversion than tubah, but sometimes seems to stand about on a level within its meaning. In Deuteronomy 14:3, for example, we have the command, you shall not eat any abominable thing, an introductory to the Torah prohibiting the use of unclean animals. And the word there is used is tobah. But in Leviticus 11:10, verses 11 verses 10 through 13, as well as 20, 23, 41, and 42, as well as Isaiah 66, verse 17, and Ezekiel 8:10, shiketz is the word used and likewise applied to the prohibited animals, as also in Leviticus 11, verse 43. So shiketz is used when it is commanded, you shall not make yourself abominable. Then shiketz is also often used in parallel to or together with the eba, of that which should be held as detestable, as, for instance, the idols and idolatrous practices, which are found in Deuteronomy 29, verse 17, Hosea 9:10, Jeremiah 4:1, as well as 13:27 and 16:18, and also in Ezekiel 11, verses 18 through 21, and 20, verses 7 and 8, to Milcom, the god of the Amorites, which is spoken of as the detestable thing, shiket, of the Amorites, according to 1 Kings 11, verse 5. Still, even in such cases, to eba seems to be the stronger word and to express that which is the highest degree of adherence. The other words used to express a somewhat kindred idea of adherence and translated abomination in the King James Version is tegal, a foul thing, refuse, or offensive things, or unclean meat, but is used in the Hebrew scriptures only as sacrificial flesh that has been stale or putrid or tainted, according to Leviticus 7, verse 18, also 19, verse 7, and also in Ezekiel 4:14 and Isaiah 65, verse 4. Drivers maintains that it occurs only as a technical term for such state of sacrificial flesh as has not been eaten within the prescribed time. And accordingly, he would everywhere render it specifically refuse meat. Compare lechem megal, the loathsome bread, from Gaal to Loth, and Malachi 1:7. A chief interest in the subject for believers grows out of the use of the term in the expression abomination of desolation, which we find in Matthew 24:15 and Mark 13, verse 14. A partial list of scriptures referring to abominations would include Genesis 43, verse 32, because the Egyptians could not eat food with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination to the Egyptians. If Egyptian religious beliefs were unchanged to the present time, this would imply that the president of Egypt sat down with the prime minister of Israel for a meal. The president would consider this an abomination. Fortunately, the religious beliefs of the Egyptians have changed significantly from the Tanakh of old times, which is in Genesis 43, verse 32. And all that have fins and scales in the sea and in the rivers, of all that move in the waters, and of any living thing which is in the waters, they shall be an abomination unto you, according to Leviticus 11:10. Whatsoever has no fins or scales in the water that shall be an abomination unto you. Leviticus 11, verse 12. And these are they which shall have an abomination among the fowls. They shall not be eaten. They are an abomination. The eagle, the ostrich, and the osprey. Leviticus 11, verse 13. All fowls that creep, going upon all fours, shall be abomination unto you. Leviticus 11, verse 20. But all other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be an abomination unto you, according to Leviticus 11:23. And every creeping thing that creeps on the earth shall be an abomination. It shall not be eaten, according to Leviticus 11:41. Whatsoever goes upon the belly, and whatsoever goes upon all fours, or whatsoever has more feet among all creeping things that creeps upon the earth, them you shall not eat, for they are an abomination. Leviticus 11:42. And you shall not let any of your seed pass through the fire of Moloch, neither shall you profane the name of your Elohim. I am Yahuah. You shall not lie with mankind as with a womankind. It is an abomination. Neither shall you lie with the beast to defile yourself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down. Therefore, it is confusion. Leviticus 18, verses 21 and 23. You shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nation, nor any stranger that sojourns with you or among you. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled. Leviticus 18, verses 26 and 27. If a man also lies with mankind, as he lies with a woman, both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death. Their blood shall be upon them. Leviticus 20, verse 13. The graven images of their Elohim shall you burn with fire. You shall not desire the silver or the gold that is on them, nor take it unto you, lest you be snared therein, for it is an abomination to Yahuah your Elohim. Deuteronomy 7, verses 25. You see there, that even includes the materials, what man calls as precious metals and those type of things that are made. If these things are made into images and idols, and you are to burn them with fire and they melt, you are not even to touch that stuff, because it's still an abomination, even though it's not in the image anymore or the likeness anymore. But it was, so it's still tainted. It's still an abomination. Neither shall you bring an abomination into your house, lest you be a cursed thing like it. But you shall utterly detest it, and you shall utterly abhor it, and for it is cursed thing. Deuteronomy 7:26. See, things can be abomination. They can be cursed, as we talked about last week. Take heed to yourself that you not be snared by the following them. After that they be destroyed from before you, and that you inquire not after their Elohim, saying, how did these nations serve their Elohim? Even so will I do likewise. You shall not do so unto Yahuah your Elohim. For every abomination to Yahuah, which he hates, have they done unto their Elohim. For even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their Elohim. What things soever I command you, observe to do it. You shall not add thereto, nor diminish or take away from. Deuteronomy 12, verses 30 through 32. There shall not be found among you anyone that makes his son or his daughters to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all of these things are an abomination unto Yahuah. And because of these abominations, Yahuah your Elohim does drive them out from before you. You shall be perfect with Yahuah your Elohim. I've heard many people say, you can't be perfect. Well, why did he tell us to be perfect then? Why did Yahusha say we got to be perfect? We're supposed to strive for perfection. We got to try to work towards that goal, to be perfected. That's what the potter does to the clay. He molds you, he shapes you, he gets rid of these abominations, all of these detestable things that we once thought were okay, because they're taught, because that's what the traditions of men teach. But Yahuah says they're abomination to me. Do not do them anymore. I've called you out from that stuff. That was Deuteronomy 18, verses 10 through 13. A woman shall not wear anything that pertains to a man, nor shall a man put on a woman's garment. For all who do so are abomination to Yahuah, your Elohim. Some might consider that as a prohibition would include a woman wearing male jeans or a man wearing a kilt. This is all referred to in Deuteronomy 22, verses 5. You shall not bring the hire of a whore or the price of a dog into the house of Yahuah your Elohim. For any vow, or even both of these are abomination to Yahuah your Elohim. Deuteronomy 23:18. But you shall have a perfect and a just weight, a perfect and a just measure shall you have, that your days may be lengthened in the land which Yahuah your Elohim gives you. For all that do such things, and all that do unrighteously, are an abomination unto Yahuah your Elohim. Deuteronomy 25, verse 15 to 16. Did you see what that just said? For all that do such things and all that do unrighteously, there's a lot of unrighteous stuff going out there. All of that is considered an abomination to Yahuah. Should we again break the commandments and join in affinity with the people of these abominations? Would not you be angry with us till had consumed us, so that there should be no remnant or escaping? Ezra 9:14. Frowardness is in his heart. He devises mischief continually. He sows discord. Therefore shall his calamity come suddenly. Suddenly shall he be broken without remedy. These 6 things does Yahuah hate. Yes, 7 are an abomination unto him. A proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaks lies, and he that sows discord among brethren. Whoa, really? He that sows discord among brethren. My son, keep your father's commandments and forsake not the law or the Torah of your mother. Proverbs 6, verse 14 through 20. Envy you not the oppressor, and choose none of his ways. For the froward is abomination to Yahuah, but his secret is with the righteous. The curse of Yahuah is in the house of the wicked, but he, Baruch, or blesses the habitation of the just. Proverbs 30, verse 31 through 33. Hear, for I will speak of excellent things, and the opening of my lips shall be right things. For my mouth shall speak truth. The wickedness is an abomination to my lips. All the words of my mouth are in righteousness. There is nothing froward or perverse in them. Proverbs 8, verses 6 through 8. They that are of a froward heart are abomination to Yahuah. But such as are upright in their ways are his delight. Proverbs 11:20. Lying lips are abomination to Yahuah, but they that deal truly are his delight. Proverbs 12:22. Poverty and shame shall be to him that refuses instruction, but he that regards reproof shall be honored. The desire accomplished is sweet to the soul, but it is an abomination to fools to depart from evil. He that walks as wise men or with wise men shall be wise, but a companion of fools shall be destroyed. Proverbs 13, verses 18 through 20. The sacrifice of the wicked is an abomination to Yahuah, but the prayer of the upright is his delight. Proverbs 15, verse 8. For the way of the wicked is abomination to Yahuah, but he loves him that follows after righteousness. Proverbs 15:9. The thoughts of the wicked are abomination to Yahuah, but the words of the pure are pleasant words. Proverbs 15:26. Everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to Yahuah. Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished. Proverbs 16, verse 5. He that justifies the wicked and he that condemns the just, even they both are an abomination to Yahuah. Proverbs 17:5. He that turns away his ear from hearing the Torah, even his prayers shall be an abomination. Proverbs 28, verses 9. Were they ashamed when they had committed abominations? Nah, they were not at all ashamed, neither could they blush. Therefore they shall fall among them that fall. And at the time that I visit them, they shall be cast down, saith Yahuah. Thus saith Yahuah, you stand in the ways and see and ask for the old paths. That's the Tanakh or the Torah. Where is the good way? And walk therein, and you shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. Jeremiah 6, verse 15 and 16. Well, those words sound so familiar to me when I try to speak to people about walking in the truth and the way of the Torah. That's exactly what I see right there. Will you steal, murder, and commit adultery, and swear falsely, and burn incense unto Baal, which we all know is the Lord? That's how it translates. And walk after other Elohim, whom you know not? And come and stand before me in this house, which is called by my name, and say, we are delivered to do all these abominations? Is this house which is called by my name become a den of robbers in your eyes? Behold, even I have seen it, saith Yahuah. Jeremiah 7, verses 9 through 11. Now, in the end, come upon you. Now is the end come upon you, and I will send my anger upon you, and will judge you according to your ways, and will recompense upon you all of your abominations. Ezekiel 7:3. Now will I shortly pour out my fury upon you, and accomplish my anger upon you, and I will judge you according to your ways, and will recompense you for all of your abominations. Ezekiel 7:8. Will you judge them, Son of man? Will you judge them? Cause them to know the abominations of their fathers? Ezekiel 20, verse 4. What does that one mean? Will you judge them? Cause them to know the abominations? I think we're supposed to point out what they're doing wrong. We got to reveal these abominations to people that are walking in them. Let them understand this is what you're doing, and you will be judged accordingly. When you, therefore, shall see the abominations of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet, stand in the Kadosh place. Whosoever read, let him understand. Matthew 24:15. And there shall in no wise enter in into it anything that defiles, neither whatsoever works an abomination or makes a lie, but they which are written in the Lamb's book of life. Revelation 21:27. In conclusion to this study, we should consider all that is written within these Kadosh scriptures and begin to consider how we should make a concerted effort to eliminate anything in our lives that could be considered an abomination. So not to be held accountable for choosing to ignore these very clear warnings to us about our lives and the choices we make each and every day. These scriptures are given not to condemn us, but to convict us of our sins so we can see the errors of our ways, so we can repent and desire change. I believe this study was inspired to show how these abominations are in a complete alignment with the Ten Commandments, and also to show that we must surrender our lives daily to the will of the Father, to crucify our flesh daily, plead the blood of the Lamb over our lives so we can be purified and forgiven of our sins daily, and ask the Ruach HaKodesh to help us to make changes in how we view our relationships and responsibility of living a life pleasing to our Savior, to honor him and to be thankful for what he has done to save us. Now we know that it's Yahuah that saves us through these sacrificial acts of Yahusha. So we want to honor him. We got to begin to look and examine our lives and to see where are we falling short. Are there things in our lives that are an abomination? So if after reading this study your eyes are opened and to how you may be sinning against your Creator, it would be well advised to repent and turn away from these abominations. It will take your effort in prayer, asking the Ruach HaKodesh to help make these changes in your life. But I can assure you, your efforts will be rewarded and baruch, or blessed. And by doing this, you will enter into a deeper, more meaningful relationship with our Master and Savior Yahusha and with our Father Yahuah. Hallelujah. Father, we just thank you that you're opening our eyes to the words that are written so deeply in the scriptures that will bring this truth to us so that we can understand, so that we can meditate on our lives and we can examine ourselves, so we can see if we are falling into any of these abominations that are detestable to you. Open the eyes of your people so that they can see clearly those things which are against you, that go against your word, against your ways, so that we can come out of that and we can become into more alignment with your ways, so that we can be kadosh, so that we can walk in righteousness, so that we can be perfected, so that at some point maybe even become perfect, as you say in your word. Those are words people don't want to hear, that we have to be perfect, but it's said multiple times in Scripture. Therefore, it must be true that we can become perfected in you. But we need to let go of all these abominations in our lives, all these detestable things that are holding us back, that are causing us to be separated from you. Help us, Father. Help us, Yahusha, to see these things more clearly, to understand what it is that is displeasing, that dishonors you, that makes you turn your face from us, that makes you remove your ruach from us. As David said, do not take your ruach from us. We need you. We need your ruach. We need your transformation in our lives. Help us to understand these things more clearly so that we can honor you with our days of our lives. And that all that we do will honor you and please you and bring joy to you. And it'll also bring joy to us to know that we are in alignment with you, that we are living right before you and righteous before you. Help us, Father, to do your will. I ask this through and in Yahushua HaMashiach, that you may be honored this day. Hallelujah, Father. We barak your name. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Thank you, Father, for opening our eyes today and allowing us to see more clearly. Barak your name. We pray this day. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. All righty, I'm going to unmute us. And I'd like to see what thoughts we have this morning. Sure, some of you may have some understanding of all these things before we got into them. But there's always more understanding and revelation that comes as we speak and allow the Ruach to speak amongst us. So I want to do that. First, Brother D, I'd like to hear you and Milo's thoughts, because I know Milo's got 100 questions for me.
I don't know. I don't have anything, Brother Rick. It's a great topic, man. Another good topic. I'm serious. I'm about to print out your PDF files, just start handing them out to people when I go out and witness. But yeah, it's a good topic. Most of the time we think about homosexuality. Oh, homosexuality, it's an abomination. Yeah, so is a whole list of other stuff. I took your thing. No, we were discussing it, but I agree with my wife. I was like, heck yeah. I was like, that's true. Pride and causing what is it? Discord among the brethren. Man, we're big on that, Brother Rick.
Yeah.
Fellowship. And to be able to look at somebody that's doing that in the same light as a homosexual, that's pretty serious. And great topic.
That stuck out to me too, right there, Brother D. That one, I had to look at that one a few times because we don't look at it in that way. We see it as something that's a lesser, but he says it's an abomination, and that's all on the same level to him. So,
You gonna be over there?
I know Brother D didn't have much, but what you got, Milo?
It was the same. He took my comment. But you know what? There wasn't really any questions. It's just more the aspect of like coming into to recognize myself as Israel and the covenants, just understanding that there's a broader definition of everything, of sin, what's abominable to Yahuah. It just redefines our vocabulary, and which is needed. It's my understanding before sin and things that were abominable was so narrow, and coming into Torah, it widens so much that it makes you realize how much more, or at least for me, how much more I need Yahuah and how much more I need Yahusha, because his definition is a lot more than my definition, So it's just it's humbling, and it needs to be like a mirror. That's exactly what the Torah is. It's a schoolmaster, and we need to be able to see that. And like one thing, it's talking about the if you see idols or detestable things, don't bring them in your home. Don't even covet after their silver or gold. And I was like, that's interesting, because I would have been like, okay, let's say we burn it and bring it down just to its elements. It's like, no, you can't even have that. It's like, no, like there's no association. It's cut and dry. Some things are really black and white with Yahuah. I mean, people like to play with the gray area, but there's things where it's black and white. And I was thinking of, a lot of times we talk about, okay, well, what coincides with being in the land and not being in the land, but because our forefathers did this stuff and they partook in this, that's what got them kicked out of the land. So how much more I want to do the opposite now that I'm in exile to get back home, So it's like, I don't want to use that as an excuse to be like, okay, we're just not in the land and we can't fully do certain things now, right? It's unfortunate that we can't, because we're not in our own land. We're not under our own government and stuff. So, but yeah, no questions this time.
Wow, I'm amazed actually, but you made some good points there. So I guess in that sense, we'll flip it to the other side. You had some good comments. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brother Stacy, good morning. Shabbat shalom to you, sir. Any wisdom for us this morning? Any things you'd like to add?
Shabbat shalom, Mishpaki.
Shabbat shalom.
Yeah. Excuse me. This is one of those studies to me that is as simple as you make it. Because as you pointed out, the many, many things that are against Torah is an abomination to Yahuah. And people, like Milo just said, kind of try to divulge in the gray area. That's because they're taking scripture and shaping it to their lives instead of taking their lives and shaping it towards scripture. Right. Because, so many points that you pointed out, I went through myself and saying that all these things are abominations, and we should pay attention to what Yahuah says is abomination. Because if we want to be in line with him, don't try to invent a gray area. Don't try to musty up things to just see if you can get it by or get it in. If Scripture says it's an abomination, it's an abomination. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm. Right on. Pretty cut and dry in his ways, the way he sees it. I agree. Is there anything else you'd like to add this morning?
No, sir. That was just a good study, and Todah for it.
Well, thank you, Stacy. It's always good to hear your replies and to have your presence, for sure.
Todah.
All righty. April, Avon, anything you'd like to add this morning? You have us on mute by chance?
Oh, yes, I did. Again, it was a great study. It just reminds me that we have to be vigilant in our walk. This we have to take inventory. Anything that is an abomination to Yahuah should be detestable to us. So we just have to make sure that we're following Torah. And, studies like this remind us, to watch what we're doing, watch what we're saying, and just follow him. So thank you.
Thank you. Avon, anything you'd like to add?
Oh, no, he stepped away. We're going to be leaving shortly. His daughter just had a baby, so we're going to be going to the hospital pretty soon.
Hallelujah. Praise Yahuah for that.
Hallelujah.
New life, that's awesome.
Yeah, his older daughter, yep. So.
Be grandpa.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
I know I like to be grandpa. Hallelujah.
This is going to be, yeah.
All right.
We're happy.
Joy. I can already hear the joy in your heart.
Yes.
Can't wait to see the little.
Hallelujah. Yeah.
Right. Kathy, Shabbat Shalom. Anything you'd like to add this morning?
No, I'm good. It was a good study. It was a good study and good refresher.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
And I just want to say congratulations to April and Avon also.
Yes, for sure.
Oda. Thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome.
Joan, any wisdom you got for us this morning? Anything you'd like to add?
Hey, I had to mute it. Okay. How much time you got?
Let's go.
Being analytical. I just want you to point out some stuff. If that's okay with everybody, I just want you to point out some stuff that I have never seen before, and that was one of them was about the dog, the price of a dog being brought into the sanctuary. My question is, was it abomination to purchase a dog, or was it abomination to bring the dog in the sanctuary? Or was the dog itself the abomination? That was one of them. So if you could do that one, and then I'll give you the other.
Well, that's a good question. I haven't got real deep into what that particular reference to the dog means, but I would have to say that it has to be bringing it into the sanctuary, into the temple. Any type of, I don't know, any type of animal. We don't know the cleanness of an animal, I suppose. How he sees those type of things. That's a good question. I'm going to have to dig into that one more. I don't have a complete answer for you, Ashley. You got me, or lack of answers there about the dog. But that did stick out to me as I was reading it too, and I had that same question. I just didn't get a chance to deep as I'd like to in the study. Stacy.
Okay.
Yes. To answer her question, it's when you sell things that you own, like a dog or a cow or anything of that nature, a dog is not the price of that dog, whatever you sell it for, it's not worthy to Yahuah. So you should not bring it into the sanctuary. You should not give it as a gift to Yahuah because you know you sold a dog for that. So that's what that means in that scripture.
Thank you.
Because you know you what? I didn't hear that last part. I'm sorry. That
Excuse
last
me?
part. I didn't hear the last part. You said, can you say that last part again?
Yes, when you sell something as lowly as a dog or anything of that nature, those things should not be gifts or say like tithings or anything of that nature brought to Yahuah because it was a dog. You know, that's not worthy, a worthy gift of Yahuah. Do something else with that, and that's what it means by bringing, you know, the price of a dog into the sanctuary.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. All right, thank you. And then the other question.
Hold on, Joan. I think Milo got something for you, too.
Yeah, I do too, Rick.
Okay, good. We got a couple more for you.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, it makes sense what Stacy's noting. I have to look at myself because in that same passage, it mentioned you cannot bring the price of a prostitute either.
Is that, which passage is it, by the way? Is it Deuteronomy? Because I think I was pulling it up. I was trying to look. Deuteronomy 23?
Oh, yeah. You should. Okay, yeah.
18?
You shall not bring the hire of a prostitute or the wages of a male prostitute.
See, it says male prostitute.
Oh, no.
And then in different translations, it's dog. We have to look into that Hebrew real quick.
Yeah, for sure.
Interesting.
While they're doing that, what you got, Kathy?
Well, this reminded me of Isaiah in 56. Down at, let's see, verse 10, it says, his watchmen are blind, all of them. They have not known. All of them are dumb dogs, unable to bark, dreaming, lying down, loving to slumber. Verse 11, and the dogs have a strong appetite. They never have enough. And they are shepherds. They have not known understanding. All of them look their own way, every one for his own gain from his own end. Now, in Isaiah here, they're calling the shepherds dumb dogs.
Interesting.
So here you are, here we are discussing the dogs in the sanctuary, where Isaiah is calling them shepherds, dumb dogs.
Wow, that's a great point right there. Wow.
Wow, that's right.
Yeah, I'm looking at the definition here, Rick, and so for dog in Deuteronomy 23:18, it's H3611, which is Caleb, which can be a dog animal, but other definitions are of a pagan sacrifice or a male cult prostitute.
Wow.
And to me, it would make sense if he's bringing up a whore, right? Which most of the time it's a female, H2181. But that could be anyone really, but a male and a female prostitute, basically, you know, I think would to me would make more sense.
Which is some of the things that they used to do back in those days, the temples and all that stuff.
Yeah,
I'm having a loss for what that was.
Temple prostitute.
Happens.
Or maybe I'm trying to conform the scriptures to my lifestyle because I got a dog Daisy, so you know maybe I'm a little biased.
BLPR. That was BLPR, right? Isn't that what that was? Is they used to have the prostitutes and those type of things right in the sanctuaries? They used to have those type of sexual orientations as an act of worship?
Yep. Temple prostitution. Yep.
Yeah. So that's interesting, Joan, that you brought that up, and it took off in a whole nother direction than probably most would think. So,
and the priests were always those priests were always men, males, and to call them dogs. So when you see the word dog, it could be referring to male.
Like DAWG?
Hey, so Rick, so when we look at this, as it says, a price of a dog, we should kind of look at it as, you know, on all those things in one sense, unsavory type earnings. You know, if our earnings aren't right, you know, we shouldn't give them to Yahuah. So, like, if we're, well, not us, but, you know, if prostitutes and things of that nature, if that's the way they get their money, then that's not acceptable to Yahuah.
Right, right. Well, I just talked to me when you brought that up about how they bring the tithes into these churches today. You know that's not commanded either. So these pastors are in the churches are accepting this kind of offerings. How are they gained? Where did they come from? You know, they don't seem to really care about that. They just want the money. So maybe all of this is really interesting to me, how all this is playing together as far as a dog. You don't think about those things when you read that stuff. You know, that's why it's so important. These studies are so important. I appreciate you digging into that, Brother D and Kathy. Yeah, you brought some things to light that I've not really looked at in that particular scripture. So that's very enlightening stuff. Was that good for you?
Because I've read also that dogs will be on the outside of the gate and all that. And I'm like, Yahuah, do you have something against dogs? Because I've got all these dog lovers, around me. I don't know what to say about it.
Now you know what he's talking about when he's referring to dogs, not necessarily the animal, but the preachers or whatever you call them, pastors.
Right. So the next one is when you said that the woman about the woman that not lying, but she stands. The woman stands before the beast, not so much as lie down. It says that it said that the man could not lie down with the beast to defile himself, but it says the woman could not stand before the beast. Did you see that difference there? That it made a difference because it would, in other words, what I saw, that it would confuse the animal. So you couldn't even stand before it. I mean, you can explain because I really don't know.
Well, there's another good one.
And I'm sorry, but that's just how it is. When I read the scripture, it's like I go so deep into it, and I can table this if you want me to.
You can do what?
I could table it. If you want to table it, it's fine. It's okay.
Well, I only have speculation to what that particular verse means, so I haven't dug into it and broke it down to the depths. But I'm assuming what she's standing before it, meaning she's presenting herself before the beast, like in bestiality, about to give herself over to the animal or something would be what I would perceive that to mean without actually digging into it deeper.
Or worshiping.
I don't know about the worshiping of these, but standing before. When anytime you hear that type of term, standing before, it's almost like presenting yourself before that person, or in this case, the animal. I would say, Brother D.
Yeah, I guess to bounce back off of that, Psalms 1, right? Blessed is the man who does not walk in the counsel of the ungodly, nor stand in the what is it? No, sit in the seat of sinners.
Is it counsel of the wicked or something?
Yeah. Let me look at it real quick. Sorry. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of sinners. So standing in the way of sinners, it's like you're coming in agreement. You're guilty by association. You're almost affirming it. Just by your actions, the standing up or standing. Yeah. Might not be literally standing, but it's like it could be both. It could be you're supporting it. So you're there, you're hanging out with them, you're next to them, And like we use that word metaphorically, right? Stand with me. Let's go. Like let's do this together.
Right. In agreement.
And see, that's where I'm getting at. Exactly that. I'm getting at that, you have not lied down. Let me just say what I'm thinking. You know how animals like to get in our beds and stuff like that. I'm just wondering if that's what he's talking about. I'm just going to go ahead and put it out there. Animals love to get in our beds, you know how they do.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering if that's an abomination to the Father.
That's an interesting thought. I haven't really ever pondered a thought about that before, but because I think that they're talking about a sexual thing here with, bestiality, I believe is what that was referring to more, which is sexual encounter with that animal.
Right, but it didn't say that. It said she's just standing before him. She didn't even lie down yet, but she stood before him. But it's okay. I mean, I'll read it. I don't have a dog at all, but I have a lot of dog lovers around me, and I just wanted to know, just for my own sake,
That's an interesting perspective, for sure. I never really considered that before, but I guess we got to look at that in context of what it's referring to in that particular verse. What's it alluding to, to kind of get a better idea. And I believe, if I remember correctly, I don't have that up anymore, what it was reading. And maybe we should just read that to see in context what it's referring to get a better idea. But I believe it was talking about the bestiality in that particular verse, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
Because that was the abomination that it was referring to, I believe.
Okay. And then the last one is about the clothing. I did a study on what clothing men wore back in that time. And they all wore robes, but they did wear something called breeches under their garment. But the study did not reveal what women wore under their garments, because, as you know, women have to wear something under their garments, but it did not say what it was. And so, we have heard, because I was Pentecostal, so they taught about that women couldn't wear pants at all. So I want you to expound on that, if you will.
Well, I believe that there's men clothing, and I haven't done the deep study on that like you did as far as the clothing that was worn back in those days. But I would say that it has to do with the garments that are chosen that men are seen to have to wear, and women, what they wore back in those times to cover themselves, I think is more what it's referring to as far as the differences between the two types of clothing that a man would wear at that time. And I think we can even look at that today, because there's clothing that are designed for men, and there's a lot of women and stuff that are trying to be men, if you will, in their sexual orientations. And so they're cutting their hair, they're looking like men, they're dressing like men. And he's trying to separate. The women are supposed to be covered, modest. There's different types of clothing that is recommended for women to wear in any of those communities. So I think that it's more about being that modest person as a woman, to be covered and to be the word I'm looking for is eluding me right now. But it's in that sense where you're not allowing somebody to look at you in a way and wonder, is that a man or is that a woman? Because that alludes to other detestable things, like we talked about, as homosexuality. There's, as we see it in our day to day, they're trying to be more like the other, or to represent the other sex, even in their relationship. But going back to the stuff that they wore in those days, I know that they had to have themselves covered completely, as a lot of us are seeing in this group, women covering their heads and such, where men don't. It's actually a detestable, or I think it's even an abomination for a man to do that, if I remember correctly. So, there's a lot of purposes for these different types of clothings that are different for men and women. Some are acceptable for a man, some are acceptable for a woman. And I think that's what is breaking it down to, I think, is that we got to follow certain criteria, if you will, for a woman that shouldn't look like a man. They shouldn't dress like a man. They shouldn't cut their hair and try to look like a man, you know, because that's, what does it say about the woman's covering of her head? You know, if she doesn't have that, what does it say? You know, maybe that's the question, you know?
Yeah. I know the scripture you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't want to miss.
Rick.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I also heard a study about that particular subject, and the guy was saying we also have to look at it like it was don't put on. He said it was like don't put on the role of a man or a woman. Like a woman should not put on the characteristic or the role of head of the household. You know, she should not be the one, you know, making all the decisions and the man be the humble one. She shouldn't be the protector of the family, you know, and the man be the weaker one. So, you know, I don't know if that, he was saying that, you know, from a Hebrew perspective, we have to look at how things were back then and not in that Western mindset. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes that words that we see in our English Bibles did not translate to exactly what it meant in Hebrew. So I was just, you know, that was one of the things that I had learned from that lesson.
That's a good point, and it very well could allude to that because we know Scripture has a multifaceted way of speaking to us in the direct context. It can also be in a I don't know, say subliminal type of way, like you said, or metaphorically, it could be something referring to it as the acts of a man or a woman, like you said. Again, there's another of those that needs to be dug into a little deeper, I think, to see what is that particular words that are used there meaning. Because this study was more going to the abomination side, but not pulling apart all of the aspects of the abomination, such as what you just pulled out. So you're asking very good questions, Joan. I like those questions. It's just I don't have 100% answers for you to give it any justice right at the point. That's why I'm glad that we got others that can chime in and bring more clarity too. You know.
It's fine. Thank you, and thank you for the answers. I will definitely just take it and use it as a study guide. It was really good. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joan. I appreciate your questions and all of those things you're trying to dig into. You're bringing and exposing some things I think we need to look into a little more deeper so we can understand them. I like that aspect of this. So thank you again for your questions. Miranda, anything you'd like to add this morning?
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
As far as like the women presenting themselves to the animals and stuff like that, a lot of times back in those days, it was a pagan practice to put on the headdress of a particular animal that was associated with a deity. So that could very well be what they were talking about with that.
Interesting. You may have a good point there. I hadn't thought about that side either. Very, very good. Anything else you'd like to add about that?
No, it just makes me want to dig a little deeper on certain things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we need to dig a little deeper in these things to gain a better clarity about what it's saying there.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the beauty of these type of studies is, man, you can go deep in all kinds of different directions if you really allow it to take you there. You know, you can gain a lot of understanding and wisdom through it all. Alrighty. I'm going to ask Rod and June, is anything that you guys have for us this morning? Any questions or anything you'd like to add to this topic?
Yeah. Babe, you want to add something first?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me on the thing?
Yeah.
It was a great study. Thank you for sharing and taking the time to prepare that.
It's my pleasure. It's an honor to do this for sure.
Yeah, I I definitely have a thought or two. You know, as you know, we're new to
You just muted. Oh, there you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you just muted yourself for a second.
Okay. And you know, as the foundations of what we thought was truth in the Christian church start to fall like dominoes,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Darren L brought up Psalms 1. And, you know, I had thoughts about it. And then I read it. It says, blessed is the man who shall not walk in the counsel of the wrong, and shall not stand in the path of the sinners, and shall not sit in the seat of the scoffers. But his delight is in the Torah of Yah, and he meditates on his Torah day and night. And I was thinking, you know, how the church systematically and poignantly removes you from the thought of Torah being something that needs to be followed, you know, and how his law is said to be done away with in the majority of the Christian churches and teachings and beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, and then I looked at the passage, Psalm 1, and it's a progression, you know, as the Torah is removed. First you're walking, then you're sitting, and then you're standing, and then you're sitting. You are totally engulfed by their ways and thoughts and belief systems, because the Torah is removed from your life. And
Ooh, that's good. That's good. I like it.
Yeah. So, you know, it's just it's amazing, you know, because like I said, you know, Darren L knows my story. I share with him, and I'll share with you, Rick, another time. But, you know, we believed it, you know, and we're, you know, the scales are falling from our eyes. We're learning more and more, you know, finding out, you know, passages misinterpreted and taken out of context. And, you know, even the commentaries that I used to study were off, you know, and this is a prime example. Your study was a prime example and leaves no question, you know, what is abomination to the Lord. So thank you for your study, man, and for bringing all these things out. It's eye-opening daily for us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're blessed to, you know, be now truly following Yah. So
hallelujah.
Amen, brother.
You brought out some good points there, and it is true. You know, you take away the foundation. You know, the thing is that right in the New Testament that they follow so much, he talks about those that build a house on a sandy foundation and those that build it on the rock.
Right.
Well, the rock, if you go through it, it's his word, it's his Torah, it's his Tanakh. You take away that, you're on one of those sandy foundations. And that's why when them storms come, they tumbling, they crumbling, they falling, you know, because they don't have a foundation that's solid. They don't, the books that they believe in, they don't even believe in. You know, that's the foundation of their belief system that they just disregard.
Right.
If you don't have that, how can you think you're going to stand and even understand what the New Testament, as they claim it to be, is? You know, because it all reflects back to the beginning, to the Torah. So you can't have that without the foundation, because it's not going to come out right. And you said it. What they're teaching is false. It's wrong. It's off target. Everything, you can go through the scriptures and see how they fall. I've done 200 some studies, and every single one of them was wrong. So that revealed to me that I can't follow that no more. You know, all that I believed, even what I taught as a pastor myself in the Christian churches, I had to repent from all that because I was wrong. I was regurgitating the same garbage that they taught me, you know?
Absolutely. I was telling my wife today, you know, I used to teach, you know, one of my favorite books to teach was Romans, and I taught that, you know, in a Bible study, and I'm like, I'm gonna have to go back to these people and say, nah, come back in. We're gonna teach this over again.
Yeah.
So you can learn what the word is really saying. What Paul Shaul was really saying. And man, that's
You
a
can't
burden.
understand what he's saying because he's actually teaching from the Torah too.
Torah, absolutely.
So how can you understand what he's saying if you don't even understand what he's teaching from?
Man, brother.
But that's great points you brought up, and it is true, and I'm glad to be out of it and following after and seeking and digging in and having you all bring these questions out. That these are things you don't really think as you're reading through these things and you put it together. There's so many different directions these things can take you and lead you, as we've seen with Joan's questions. Even though they're all contained within the same study, there's different directions these studies can take us and take us much deeper if we really want them to. I mean, you start pulling apart every part of these scriptures, and your eyes are gonna be open to all of this stuff in ways you never known before. So we appreciate you being here, and that your eyes are open, and that you're diligently seeking truth as we are, because that's what we're here for. We're no frills. We're digging in deep. We're going down as far as we can and pulling this stuff apart, because that's the only way we can really understand. We can't understand the truth of matters until we dig into them. Right, if you're just reading across the top like most Christians do, you have no clue what's deep down there, those treasures that are buried there for our edification, for wisdom. That's where it comes from. That's why he says you need to study to find yourself approved, not just read. But thank you for your input. It's much appreciated. I will go to Dr. Pepper. Brian, I don't know how far you were in this study, but if you got something you'd like to add.
Oh, hey, Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Yeah, I was just thinking earlier I have a small walk-in closet in my apartment here. I was just praying, and it takes me a little while to actually get into get my mind off of everything. So I might be in there sometime. I'm in there a couple of hours or whatever, just to get my mind into the spirit. And I was just thinking about how the Bible talks about how we're his temple, and that when you have these things, these abominations in your life, it actually stops prevents, if you're interceding or if you're in spiritual warfare or interceding for healing or whatever the case may be, how these abominations can actually grieve the Ruach HaKodesh and prevent your prayers from being answered. And it's kind of ironic, because I was in my prayer earlier, I was asking Yah to look into for forgiveness for everything that's in my heart that might be separating him from me, and anything that's quenching the flow of his spirit in my life. And because I'm a lot better now, but when I was younger, I was the same way. I was caught up in the Christian church, and I was a lot of things. I was confused, and I was a hot mess basically. I had family issues, emotional issues, spiritual issues. I just had issues, and so I'm at a point in my life now. It's you come to the end of yourself, and you toil, and you work hard and toil in this world system, and you put your trust in this world system, and the fruit just gives you grief and pain and everything like that. And it's now I'm just in the place in my life where I'm just getting quiet and just asking y'all just to clean my heart out, and whatever abominations, like you said in your study, or whatever sin that's in my heart that is offensive to you, that's stopping your flow of your Ruach, to clean it out and to burn it out with the fire of your spirit, and burn out all the chaff, the wood, and burn out all the leavens of this life, the leavens of the world system. And so yeah, that's just what I was thinking on my heart this morning and everything like that. And it was a very, very good study, Rick. And, definitely something I can apply to my life.
All of us, brother. All of us got to look at this stuff. Like you said, it will hinder your walk. So we have to be conscious of it. We have to examine. We have to try to come out from all of that stuff, because it'll destroy your relationship with you and even others. And but it's definitely going to keep you from the fullness of what Yahuah has for us. And we don't want to be separated. We want to be joined and united and linked with him. So appreciate your input, my friend. JP, I know you over there nodding your head. You got some things you got to share with us this morning?
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
I think the study was perfect. It was excellent. I love that the Ezekiel, when I took notes, I said, man, Ezekiel was just giving us some good stuff about abominations. But I think one of the things in my mind came up was that, of course, nobody wants to be in the church today, doesn't want to be judged or things like that. But, we have a lot of, I guess what I was trying to get at is just we have a lot to think about, when we're walking in our life. We're constantly having to say, how to please the Father, how to please Yahuah. If we're just living our life without responsibility and taking that responsibility for our actions, we don't take no responsibility. We just end up doing whatever we want. And I like to tell people, like, people try to say you can be whatever you want to be or who you want to be. I say, nah, you got to be who Yahuah wants you to be.
Yeah. Yes. Right.
And that's one of those lies that been pushed on us. Even like you had brought up, I like to say the other thing about you said about perfect. I say, people, they don't want to come to that understanding that we can be righteous.
Mm-hmm.
We can be perfect. Everybody, they put in the context of, well, I'm perfect through Yahusha. And I say, yeah, you are, but you also gotta, I guess the best way for me to put it is I want to please the Father. I want to please him,
mm-hmm.
In my life. And these abominations you brought up, that's how we're going to please him.
Yeah.
When we, like the brother just said right now, when we purge ourselves get that leaven out of our body, and we got to do effort too. Everybody just wants he does it all for me, and I can just sit back in the background and do nothing. And so I think this brings up that point of we got to take those abominations and say, these are the things we don't need in our life. And like you said at the end, if you got some things in your life, take it, sort them out, get them out of your way, and walk correctly and walk upright. And I love it, though. I love this study. I appreciate it, brother, because, sometimes, like you said, we read over things, or we read Abomination and we know about it, but to be open, woken up again, like, hey, here, check this out. I say, yeah, I love it. So, that was one of my biggest things, was just that, though, is, people don't want to be, like I said, judged, and they don't want to have no one to tell them what to do. But I remember, I know it's somewhere in the scriptures, but Paul says that, he says, judge me. And when he says, judge me, I said, wow, like, he's telling the people, just like we should tell the people, judge me.
Mm-hmm.
I need that exhortation. I need that edification. I need that help, man. Like, if I'm doing something wrong in my life, I need somebody to tell me, so I can't. Because, sometimes we think it's okay, and it's not. So
right.
I'm glad to be a part of the fellowship. I'm glad that this study was brought up today. So thank you very much, and I'll continue listening. And if I can, I'll put some input in, but I love this hearing everything.
We appreciate you, brother. And you're right. Amuna, or faith without works, is dead. So there's death there. You're not going to get anything if you don't actually put this stuff into action. You have to be a doer of the word, not just a hearer. He's going to take you so far. He will set you free. He'll give you the clean slate to go from. But if you continue to dive back into that dirty water, you're going to keep getting dirty, you know? So, you know, that's good points. Brother D or Milo, one of you two had something you'd like to add? Get your hand raised.
Yeah, it just made me reminded me of what he's talking about and how we're supposed to keep each other accountable, right? Because an example, my aunt had bought us when we moved into our place a little bamboo plant, and I like bamboo. I'm cool with the plant. Like, there's nothing wrong with the plant, but what it was in was this like elephant type of thing, like the way they make it. And so we had it on our counter. He was doing a video before with another brother, and it was on a video. And another sister had told us, like, you need to look into that because it's with idolatry and all that stuff. And I got mad. I ain't gonna get upset. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, I like my bamboo, and my aunt brought me the bamboo, and I was like,
and that video was good. I don't want to do it over again.
Yeah, so I was like, but we wind up throwing it out because there's the reality of it. If it's abomination, it is an abomination. Then you gotta check your own heart and your own motives. So it goes beyond that. You know, like, what are your attachments? Why are you attached to things and stuff? So we wouldn't have known that. Well, let me rephrase that. Hold on. When my aunt brought it, she said, so it could bring you good luck. And we're like, we don't believe in luck. I believe in Yahuah.
She did.
Right?
She did.
But I thought we turned around because I was like, no, I believe in Yahuah. I don't believe luck, right? But then I realized there is an association with it. And I was like, oh, man. So I'm just thinking about, I'm like, oh, man, Yahuah, I'm sorry I got mad at that. But sometimes we're ignorant. There are sins of ignorance, and we need our brothers our brethren to be able to say, hey, I know about this. Like, there's times when brothers and sisters come on the thing and they'll bring up points that we don't know. And we're like, no. And they're like, you might want to look a little more into what you're saying.
The bubble buster.
And the bubble buster.
The bubble buster brother.
Mm-hmm. And we need that, though, because we turn around and are like, oh, yeah, that's true. It's legit. It's in the word. It's something we shouldn't be doing or something we should be doing. So it's good stuff.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. That's all.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. You're right, though. We don't think about those little things, but even that word that she used, bring you good luck, that was like, the antenna should be going up like, uh-oh.
That was the red flag.
Yeah.
You look past that and looked at the bamboo. Not what the bamboo was in. We got to look at ourselves that way, too. Yes, April.
I'm sorry. We get ready to leave. I just want to say one thing, what Milo just said and Brother D. I was listening to what he put out the other day about Matthew 23, and he brought out a point about titles and stuff and how, saying the name pastor and elder and all of that. And when he said that, I was like, well, wait a minute, that's not right, because people are pastors and people are teachers. And then as I was kept listening, and he was like, the Messiah said, who is your rabbi? Who, and I remember him saying when he was working for Catholic Charities, he was like, they wanted him to say Father so-and-so. And he was like, no, what was just the name of the person? I mean, the title that your mom gave you, your name and stuff. So when Milo said about, her bamboo and all that, I'm thinking like, wow, we learn something every day from each other. Just that lesson from yesterday helped me to realize, you can't be calling people by titles. Even in the Hebrew, should we be calling people Moray this and Moray that? We call you Rick and we call him Brother D. It's just like I'm learning something every day. So I know this is off the subject, but when she said that, it just reminded me of their lesson from Matthew 23 the other day. But I love you guys. We got to go. Shabbat shalom.
Appreciate you guys. We love you.
Shabbat shalom.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Right. Thank you. All right. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Alrighty. Ron, anything you'd like to add this morning to what we're talking about?
Shabbat shalom. Yeah, good lesson, and just really thankful for your teaching, Rick. I praise Yahuah for everybody here on the website here. Please pray for me. I'm going through some financial difficulties, and I'm still on kidney dialysis, and pray that one day I'll get a kidney transplant. But other than that, thank you for all the encouragement, and Yahuah bless you.
Thank you, Ron. we're going to lift that up in prayer along with Joan once we're finished here at our discussion, because I think it's important that these matters be covered in prayer by our brothers and sisters in agreement. So we're going to definitely do that for you. All righty. I think we got Kefa. I don't know how to pronounce that again. I apologize. You got it on mute.
Kefa and Karen.
Sorry. Hi.
Hello.
Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
What you got for us? Any input you'd like to add this morning, or any questions you may have? I don't know where you came in on the study at all, but I'd like to open it up to you if you do have anything.
I know my question was, I know you mentioned how Baal is used as the Lord.
Yeah, Baal, yeah.
Baal. Okay. Mm-hmm. So then I know that they use those words a lot in scripture, and even when they're discussing the festivals of Yah. So it kind of threw me off because I felt like it's saying the festivals of Baal.
Well, it is, because there's not to get into this so deep, but
yeah,
there's Baal, which, and then you got Baal, because there's two different terms. They look very similar, but there's difference. The difference is when you talk about Baal, that can be translated as like Lord, Master, Husband, those type of things. Okay. But when you're talking about Baal, that particular is a name, and anytime you see that, it's taking it to like the Lord. You're putting an emphasis on that name that's taking it to another name, another deity name. In my opinion, that's the name that they replaced Yahuwah's name with. So that's why we have to be cautious of that. And they did have ceremonies and all of that. We know Prophet Elijah came against them in their ceremonies and all the things that they did. So we still have it today. They're just under a different title, but they're still, in my opinion, they're still worshiping the same deity, and we see it. I hate to call it out, but I believe that's what the church is, a Christian church is, the Catholic Church. Anything that's calling on the Lord, and that's the name of the Lord. They're saying it themselves. They're saying the name of Baal is really what, because if you translate that back, that's where it goes.
Yeah. Do you think that was purposely done by adding the name Lord and the name of Yah?
Yeah, I think it was a cover. I think it was you remove the name and you put something that's very innocent in some regards to the people, and they go with it. The people of the world don't know the name was removed and that it was replaced with this other name that people see it as, well, they say it themselves, the name of the Lord. So when you go down that sense, it's not talking about Yahuwah when they're talking about. He told them, I'm going to take that out of your mouths. You're not going to call me that no more. I think that to me is an abomination to him, in my opinion. Because people they're taking their praise and worship to another Elohim. That's why he gave us his name as many times as he did. He says, my people will know my name. So when we get into those type of things and the different types of worship, any of those things that are outside of the confines of what Yahuwah in his Tanakh, his Torah has told us how we ought to do it, if it's outside of those parameters, we're walking on shaky ground, in my opinion. So.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, Rick. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Brother Rick.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Appreciate that. Milo got a hand roll. Darian, I'm not sure which one again. I can guess which one, no, but go ahead.
You change the name.
Yeah, just put
I don't hear you, Milo. I don't hear you, Brother D.
Can you hear us now?
There you go.
Okay. No, I just want to clarify too, because in our English, when it says like the feast of the Lord and it's all capital Lord, that's not talking about Baal. That's not talking about that. That is talking about Yahuwah. So that's why we have to look at the Hebrew, because when we see what they call the tetragrammaton, the Yod He Wah He, it is, or Wah He, it's talking about Yahuwah. So not every time depending upon your scriptures, if you see all capital Lord, it is Yahuah. It's referring to Yahuah's name. So it's just a matter of looking into like the Hebrew word, because I think that's what she might have. I just didn't want anybody getting confused if they see all the time Lord that's Baal. That's not. That's
why I was trying to bring the differences between the two.
Yeah. So usually the signifier is the all capitals. Most translations are pretty much in sync with that, and that's where Yahuwah's name is supposed to be.
I also found when they put the before the LORD, that's usually what it's referring to. When they say like my or our, then I think that's the other Baal, the Lord, the Master, that type of thing. That's what I found in looking at the way that they've done it. Mm-hmm. And you're right, they do capitalize that in replacement of the name.
Yeah, a lot of the prefaces will note how they've done that translation, which is pretty interesting. They put it in plain sight, but who reads the prefaces nowadays, right? So, but yeah, just want to clarify that.
Very good. Thank you. Zion Descending. What's going on, Brother Mike? Relius, good to see you this morning, too.
Shabbat shalom.
Yeah, good to see you, Relius. Brother Mike.
Sandra, I know you were with us a little bit. Anything you'd like to add this morning?
Shabbat shalom.
Shalom, shalom.
It's a good teaching. Yeah. I really enjoyed it. What makes me think is that how it affected us in our spiritual walk, with Yahuwah. All these abominations, I mean, you guys said it all, it's an awesome teaching. It's an awesome teaching, like, wow. Yeah, I really like it, and I'm enjoying it.
Well, we're glad to have you, and definitely there's been a lot of commentary, a lot of questions answered here. There's probably not a whole lot more to add, but,
Yeah.
It's a deep subject for sure. That we don't.
Yes, it is. It is all the unclean food. When people are proud, that's an abomination too.
Yeah.
A lot of things. There's a lot of scriptures in the Bible. Yeah. Wow.
There's a lot to talk about it for sure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
That's why it's good to have these kind of studies, so you can kind of bring them together, so we can kind of see what they're saying.
Yeah, and bring out a lot of questions, so we can discuss it. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
It's good to see you this morning and have your presence. And
all right, good to see you all too.
Look forward to continuing the rest of our Shabbat together with you and going down this road, see where it leads us.
All right. Thank you.
Welcome. All righty. Well, I think that pretty much covers that study. I don't know that there was too many more questions. Does anybody else have anything like to add before we end this recording? All righty. Well, thank you for your commentary, your questions, your input this morning, and a conclusion to this study on what it means to walk right before Yahuwah and get these abominations out of our lives. Hallelujah. So may Yahuwah continue to block you all. Shalom.